Cell Center for Legal Studies and Center for Management Studies (KIPS) is organizing NDLI Skill Development Workshop today on the topic Copyright Challenges in Academic Libraries. I would like to take a brief moment to introduce the resource person of today, Dr. Ashis Biswas, Deputy Librarian, University of Delhi. Sir has graduating with English Honours from Ramakrishna Mission Vidya Mandir. He has obtained his BLIS, MLSI, MPhil and PhD from the University of Calcutta. So started his professional career as a librarian at Guru Nanak Institute of Dental Science and Research in Kolkata 2007 and worked there for more than 3 years. Thereafter, Sir worked as a librarian at the Victoria Institution at Kolkata for more than 14 years. At present, he is working as a deputy librarian in the University of Delhi. He is also associated with Indira Gandhi National Open University as an academic counselor for 20 years. He has published a book titled An Introduction to Library Management, an edited book on open access, 14 book chapters and more than 36 research papers in journals and conference proceedings. He has delivered 22 invited speeches as a resource person in national and international level seminars, webinars and UGC programs from year 2020 to 2024, and Sir has also co-chaired the technical session in international seminars. Sir has guided 30 IGNOU MLIS dissertations and he has been honoured with a joint editor of College Libraries, a UGC care listed journal. Since June 2022, Sir is also functioning as subject expert in Research Advisory Committee in Department of Library, University of Gaurbanga, West Bengal. Very recently, Sir delivered an invited talk on 19th March in Library 2024, Russia. He also received the ICAL Promising Researcher Award in International Conference on Academic Libraries in University of Delhi. I would now invite Mr. Chetan Prakash to give a green welcome to Sir. I would now request our guest to come on the podium and take over the session.
Giving me the opportunity to come here and to deliver on such a relevant topic, that is copyright challenges in academic libraries. Before starting my small speech, whatever it can be said, I want to thank the organizer, the director of GIBS, the IPOC chairman and the staff related to the IPOC, other distinguished faculties of GIBS, librarian madam, the staff of the library, and the students who are present in this seminar or workshop, whatever it can be said. So, the topic that is copyright, we are very much familiar with this topic, that is copyright. So from the very general concept, whenever we hear this term, that is copyright, it comes to our mind that there is some restrictions regarding the uses of anybody's ideas. It may be in the form of any printed publication or any online publication, or it also may happen in the music, film, painting, etc. etc. So from the library concept, basically we focus on the different kind of resources, that is basically, or it can be said as scholarly resources, which are required for our course curriculum of the studies, our researches, or any other educational purposes. Regarding the copyright, some gray areas may be there, or we may not be fully aware about the different flaws and functions and features, or different items related to copyright rules and regulations. So due to this unknowingly unawareness, some kind of infringement may happen. So you are not doing it very intentionally, but because you are not aware about the fact or rules and regulations which are related to copyright laws, so you may put yourself in some kind of problem or complications, or you may also face some legal doing. Somebody may do intentionally some malpractices, overlapping or crossing the barriers which are hidden in the copyright law. So that time you also can face the legal actions. But if we have a clear idea of what are the things are mentioned in the copyright law, then how can we use keeping ourselves within the periphery of the copyright law. So any such complications or any such legal actions we can easily avoid. So in my small piece, there will be an attempt to give you a clear idea about what is copyright, what are its functions, and what are the different clauses of the copyright law. And the second part is very important from the point of view of today's topic, that is the copyright challenges in academic libraries. You know, the academic libraries' main motto is to help you with the course curriculum based study in your research and any other academic works. So, as far as possible as a library professional, I am also a library professional. My aim is to satisfy your requirement by providing whatever the resources available under my system. It may be in printed format, it may be in online format. So my aim is to satisfy your information requirement. But in doing so, we also have to keep in mind that what are the copyright laws are related with the particular document, whether it is fully subscribed version or whether it is in open access format. It is applicable both for the printed version and digital version. So let me first give you the functions of the academic library. You can see here the first one is the globalized platform for quality education. So library can give you the different source of resources. Okay, so it's not possible for a single individual to acquire all those resources available throughout the global in your home or in your study table. You can say that, sir, Google is there. Okay, Google Baba is very powerful giant, you can say, but still some informations are there which may not be available through Google format. So later on I will discuss when it may be clear to you. And the second thing, you can see that library's role in ensuring best e-learning journey. Again, from the example of Google, I can say if you put any search term on the Google, then you will get a plethora of information coming on your desktop. So it can be said that information explosion. And whenever this type of information explosion will happen, you will find totally confused which one you should use. Second thing is very important, that is the authenticity of the information. It's not that all kinds of information you are getting over the internet by searching on the Google, it may not be authentic. Somebody has written a blog and uploaded in the Google, so you are getting that. So it is proper scientific experiment, that results may not be correct or accurate on the basis of vague ideas or collecting from the secondary sources. He or she has compiled and written a blog and uploaded in the web versions. So as a starter, as the beginner of the some kind of research works, you are not properly fully aware about the fact. So it is written in very good English or in a structured manner, but the result is not authentic, my dear friends. But you are not aware, you are thinking, okay, it is written in a very good format, everything is okay, and you are quite attracted by the format. So you have taken very faithfully but blindly. Why it is blindly? Because you don't know the authenticity of the information. So that's why it is the difference between Google and authenticated sources of information. So all kinds of authenticated sources, the full text version may not be available through Google format. And in this juncture, library will help you how to procure or how to access the authenticated information which will be properly helpful for your research work or any scientific experiment or any kind of academic work. The second part is properly function by the library. Now we can see the third part, that is the promoting self-development in students. It is also very important right from my beginning of my childhood career in primary level. So my father told me that inculcate the reading habit among yourself. Unless and until you are inculcating the reading habit among yourself, one fine morning you are studying your graduation and you need some information, somebody told you that go to the second floor and you will get there plenty of books arranged in a room that is called the library. Oh, that is library. So you one day fine morning you have suppose gone to the library, meet with the librarian, you have taken your library membership card and you tried to searching the particular book and librarian madam or sir suppose help you to find out that book. But you don't have that reading habit because you never got to the library in your school life. Then you will feel after 5 or 3 minutes impatience will grow. Oh, whenever I will get out of the library, I will go to the cafeteria at least, I will go to the meet with my friends. Patient, because inculcation of the reading habit has not been grown up in your mind or in you. So you are impatient. And in case of higher studies, whenever in college and universities, when you are doing the research, self-study is very important. Everything cannot be spoon-fed. Everything cannot be. It is applicable somehow in the school level. But in the higher studies, whenever in the school or in a college, so you need the tenacity to read something in your own way. Lot of things you have to read. Notebooks, study materials, suggestions, guide, and in a very raw term or in a negative sense, spoon feeding may not be effective at all. So who will help you in this academic procedure? It is the library, where plenty of resources are available and you have to access all the resources according to your need. For that you have to what? You have to grow up the habit, inculcate the reading habit. So library will help you in the third part, that is the promoting the self-development in students. Now the fourth, academic development of students. Whenever you will be able to, please listen at least. It will also be motivated for me to go through. Otherwise I think that you are gossiping, that it is not interesting or dull. Please. And the fifth one, that is the encouraging skill development in students. Whenever you are just going to finish your academic career, now you have to think about the job. At the same time, library will also solidify your base, your knowledge base. That will be very much helpful whenever you go to the job arenas. Your interview, cracking your interview. After that, whenever you will be giving the appointment letter in your job areas, it is also helpful. You can say, how, sir? It can be helpful for me because there is a practical part. Practical part comes from what? If your theoretical base is not strong, so practical aspects will be based on your theoretical knowledge. Practical actually help you to enhance your skill by hand practices. But the theoretical knowledge is also required. So these are the basic functions of the academic library. Now I am coming to the copyright. So as the students of law, some of you may be the students of law, you are already aware about the fact that copyright. So let me give you a brief definition of the copyright. That copyright challenges in academic libraries are complex and multifaceted libraries play a crucial role in ensuring access to scholarly resources while also balancing the rights of copyright holders. So these challenges are heightened by rapidly advancing technologies and shifting educational resources need. I have not explained here what is copyright. Before explanation, I am again focusing on the role of the libraries in case of copyright related issues. Two things are there. At the one hand, library professionals or as a whole library system, they have to take care that copyright infringement should not be there. But at the same time, they are in a proper objective to satisfy all kinds of information requirement of their users, thus by providing their required information sources. So at the same time, it seems that two things are conflicting to each other. One side I am telling that they have to be very much careful about the copyrighted materials, At the second time, I am telling that they have to satisfy all kinds of information requirements. Suppose what information I need, that is a copyrighted material, and I don't have that permission to access the full text. Then how can I match among these two things? So these are the challenges. I will try to explain it later on. So in the next slide, I have this try to give you a very outline aspects of the copyright. So in India, copyright is governed by the Copyright Act 1957. So first full-fledged Copyright Act was published in India in 1957, which provides protection to the creators of original, literary, dramatic, musical and artistic works. That Act was amended again in 2012 to align with international conventions. There are several conventions. There are Bern conventions, very popular conventions were held in 1960s, something like that. So the Bern Convention and the trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights. So in the line of Bern Convention and TRIPS Convention, again some aspects of the copyright laws was amended in 2012. Now another very interesting fact, that is that Creative Commons. So both are related with the protection of the copyright law or the rights of the authors, but there is a subtle difference between the copyright and Creative Commons license. CC. Have you heard the Creative Commons? Anybody of you? Please raise your hand. Students, dear two students. Creative Commons, have you any idea? No, none of you belong to the law faculty? Huh? Okay, anyway. So copyright I have already mentioned, but Creative Commons license gives you some flexibility in terms of the protection of the ownership of certain materials. What is that? I'm not going into details because here actually non-library professionals or students are there. Only thing I'm mentioning here, that come to the 1, 2, come to the fourth line. See here that under the Creative Commons, what is Creative Commons? A licensing system that allows creators to share their works while retaining some rights with specific permissions for reuse, modification and distribution. So you can see here that it is there, so that author can permit you to reuse or distribution of his or her work, but that provision is not in the copyright law. So copyright law is little bit rigid, and on the other hand, Creative Commons, there is a flexibility is there. Okay. Why I am talk about these differences? Because later on I will several times give the references of Creative Commons license. So now I am coming to the some aspects of the copyright law. First is the originality. Suppose I have nurtured an idea about a fiction, but unless and until it is pinned down on some digital format or in printed format and get it published, so as soon as it will be published, it will be the ownership of that creation will be on me, because I have published that fiction, so I will be the owner of that fiction. But if it is not published, everything you have kept in your mind, that cannot be said that you are the ownership of that idea, because who will know that what is happening in your mind? So it should be published in certain format. It may be digital format, it may be print format. So whenever it will be published, you will be given the ownership. So that is called the originality. Then the second aspects of the copyright law is the works covered by the copyright. So you can see that Copyright in 1957 published library works, books, articles, dramatic works, musical works, artistic work, then
musical work,
cinematograph, film, sound recordings, architectural works, so all kinds of works will come under the copyright laws. Now Fixation of copyright. Just 1 minute ago I told that if it is in mind, it cannot be said that publish I can and use the ownership, because people has to know that somebody has published certain thing and he or she is the ownership. So fixation of copyright, as it is not mandatory for every author to go to the copyright office and fill up a form for the registration. Flexibility is there as soon as it will be published. If it is in published format, so copyright owner will be the author or the creator of that book. But if you can more solidify your ownership by any legal process or any documented process, you can do the registration. But registration is not mandatory in India at least. Whenever it will be published, if it is published one, then you will be the owner of that creation. So that is the fixation of copyright. Now the exclusive rights, whenever it will be published and ownership will be given by the or ownership will be given on the author or creator of that document. So whenever the ownership will be entertained on the particular person, so particular person will be able to reproduce the work. If he or she wants, later on he or she can change the work in second edition. Ashis Biswas has written a book, and Ashis Biswas is very close to him. I thought that okay, Ashis Biswas is a very close friend of me. 5 years later, I will do the second edition. No, I cannot do that. If I want to do that, I need permission from him, or at least he can do, or he can take me as a collaborator or co-author. But on my own individual attempt, I cannot take anybody's publication or do the second edition or third edition. So this is the fact. Another thing is that publicly perform or display the work he or she can do. Everything, all these factors I have mentioned on the exclusive rights, it is for the author. Duration of the copyright. In India, for the whole life of the author, that copyright will be under him. Even after his death, up to 50 years, the copyright will be in his or her name. After 50 years, it can be open. Anybody can change or anybody can do some adaptation, editing, etc. etc. So up to lifetime, then after death, again 50 years. In USA it is lifetime, then 60 years. But India it is 50 years. Then the fair use and exception. This is very important. I have told you that copyright laws in comparison with the Creative Commons license, some rigid rules are there. Okay, but there is a very good option, and also the grey area also can be said. What is that? Suppose you are doing a research work, you need some information. So you have copyrighted materials, you have consolidated some copyrighted materials, and you have taken some content from them in your own part. But suppose there is a 100 pages book. Suppose the ideas you have taken, it will cover 50%. And you are not doing for any commercial purposes. You are doing for your own research purpose, basically for the academic purpose. So it is permitted. That means it is fair use. You are not doing for any commercial purposes or any business oriented purposes. Okay? But if you do the total books you have copied from your research purpose, and you are telling, okay, I am not doing business, I am not dealing with any commercial purpose, everything I am doing for my own purpose, that is a lame excuse. Because you cannot, in the name of fair use, you cannot copy 100%. Some portions you can take, ideas, expression, some experience, and you have to acknowledge properly that these and these authors' book I have consulted. Already you know the references, at least references you know, I think, dear students. So references you have to acknowledge all those sources properly. So then it will come under fair uses. But as I have mentioned, there is grey areas also. Because it is not very clearly defined how far you can take the idea and how much, if you cross taking the idea, then it will come to the infringement of the copyright laws. So later part, in the second part, I will try to focus how libraries can help in these grey areas, so that any kind of unintentional mishappening can be avoided. Now the moral rights, again it is obviously for the author, infringement and remedies. Already I have mentioned so many infringements and how to solve these, how to overcome all those remedies, I will discuss later on. Then the registration of copyright, as I have mentioned that registration of copyright is not mandatory in India, but anybody wants to do, they can, he or he can do that. This is an important clause of the copyright laws. Suppose after doing your graduation or post-graduation, you have been employed by some employer. So under your job profile, you have given some responsibility that please complete this job and you do a documentation in the form of a book or in the form of a journal article. Suppose it needs book hi hoga side. So at that time, because the certain responsibility given you by the employer, under the direction or jurisdiction of the employer, you have created the document. So at that time, the ownership may go to the employer, not employee. You can say, sir, ye to gajab ho jayega. I have done everything, then my name is not there. Employer name will be there. Why? Because the logic is there, the ideas, the structure, the platform, the job aspects, structure, pro forma, everything have been provided you by the employer. You have just put up some or fill up some data or the statistic and create it. So it is called that work for hire. Work for hire. Okay. So this is a concept related to copyright law. Then international treaties I have already mentioned, Bond Convention, Intellectual Property Organization. So Indian copyright laws are very much related with that international scenario. Orphan works, another important thing is there. You have got a book, but who is the author? Publisher has not mentioned properly the creator's name. So that is called the orphan word. Orphan, you know the meaning of the orphan. Okay, so that time also some kind of complications may arise. Later on I will discuss. Now, whatever I have discussed about the different features or the components of the copyright laws, if we see at a glance, we can chalk out in this way. The knowledge, resource and management. From the library perspective, whatever the resources are there copyrighted or is out of copyrighted or it is related to Creative Commons licenses. So they have to chalk out everything for the betterment of their users and to avoid any kind of copyright infringement cases. And second thing, the intellectual property rights. This is also broad term. Copyright, Creative Commons license, patents, everything will come under this IPR. So library has to take into consideration that which thing for which purpose, what is this rules and regulation, where it is flexible area, where the grey area, everything is there, and sorting out all those things they have to help the users so that they can willingly, intentionally follow the proper path, so there should not be any cases of copyright infringement. Then the second is the service oriented. Already I have mentioned so many things that the motto of the library is to provide different kinds of services to satisfy the information requirement of their users. It may be faculty, it may be student, it may be research scholar, or it may be general or common people. In Delhi University, you cannot believe at midnight the reading hall is full. I am not joking. There is a general concept that people always are not coming into the library to read because so many things are available online, so they can access from their home. But you will be surprised to know that every day there is some quarreling, some arguments, the style I am not getting the proper seat to read, and why do I sit? So Delhi University library system is now 4,000 square meter. But within 2 or 3 years it will be transferred to more than 15,000 square meter, not square feet, square meter. So 4 times from the existing infrastructure. Now the technological aspect. You know that today we are already our respected Prime Minister sir has mentioned that India should be digital India. and digital aspects has started in all the sectors of our life. It's not only library. So as we are discussing from the library point of view, you know that along with the printed resources, we are nurturing now e-books, e-journals, other resources, etc. etc. So whenever the technology is taking a vital role in kinds of library services and resources, the problem is again doubled in case of copyright infringement or the prone to copyright infringement. You can say, sir, why? Because with the help of the technology, that is the ICT, information communication technology, you are accessing different kinds of resources, or you are trying to access them. But sometimes with some programming, you know, that is in popularly it is called the hacking. In that sense, in common sense, I am telling you the hacking. But you know some programming languages, some copyrighted materials which are not available to you, but you are not the authentic person, so you don't have that access to get the full text version. But with the help of programming, somehow you have hacked that system and you have accessed that copyright material. So that time it's a sheer infringement of the copyright laws. So technology at the same time is very beneficial. On the other hand, it can be very dangerous in concept of the infringement of the copyright law. So we have to be very careful. Then the preservation. Library from the perspective that you have to preserve the resources for the posterity of the coming generation. Okay. Today we are here in 2025. After 10 years, some documents may not be there in the library. It can be damaged in case of printed books. And that material are not going to be published. Publisher has been stopped publishing that book. So it's the responsibility of the library and information sector to preserve all those resources. But if it is a copyright material, still copyright is there. But you have got that information that it will not be published, and one copy you have in the library, but somehow it has been damaged by any natural calamity, it may be, or it may be happening that because of that callous attitude of a particular user, the book has been somehow damaged. Then what you will do? You have to take another copy from another library and you have to do a digital copy for your own library. So at that time, I am telling you it is a copyright material, but I am doing the preservation. So that is a violation of the copyright law. But way out is there. You can explain the reason why you are going to preserve this document in a digital format, because the single copy you have in your system that has been damaged somehow, and you may need to take the permission from the author. If the author is not there, the author is dead. So you can take permission from the publisher, or you can take help from the legal experts. So in this way, this type of preservation is very necessary, not only for the printed documents, but also for the digital online platforms also there. Suppose you have subscribed a particular journal, all the archival materials are also available, but in 2026 you have discarded subscribing that journal. But at least whenever you are subscribing journal in 2025, so all the back issues you can access. But it's not sure that whether you will continue or not. So that's why up to 2025, whenever you are getting the access, you try to download all those archival back issues and you can preserve in your digital format. Now the inadequate financial infrastructure. I am telling you from the half an hour lot of things. But money is honey. It's a very common term. Money is honey. Everything will be possible whenever there will be the financial support or infrastructural support. So some small or middle level libraries fund may be an issue. So that time they can have to think in a proper way that utilizing the best resources can be done from a mere amount of money. So that time selection of that particular resources is very important. That which one will be very much beneficial, because your option is very limited. So within that limited option, you have to choose that or pick up the proper resources will have a maximum benefit. Then the second thing is that, or the last thing is the security and lack of expert. If you still cannot solve any problem related to legal aspects, related to copyright. So you can take help from the legal persons so that everything can be channelized or function in a proper way. So far, actually my speech from the Indian context, but India is not out of global. So accordingly you have to keep in your mind what is happening in the international area. I have already mentioned the India's copyright law amended in 2012, keeping in mind the Bond Convention and other international organizations' copyright laws. Okay, so here you can see number one from the global perspective that it's coming very easy. Yeah, in Bond Convention I have already mentioned. In the second part you can see that some countries have extended the duration of the copyright protection because there is some anomalies or difference. Copyright will be retained in the name of the author. In India I have told up to lifetime of the author, then 50. In USA it is 60. Some other countries it is after the date 70 years, up to 70 years, the copyright can be in the name of the author. And the third part you can see that the extension copyright duration has been controversial. So obviously some countries have 50 years, some countries have 60 years, some 70 years. So you can say that controversy का मतलब क्या है सर? मतलब यही है. Suppose Delhi University is a global university. Lot of foreign students are coming under to study in our university. Suppose a student from the USA has come to our library because he knows his country's copyright law. That's up to 70 years. That particular document is permissible. Okay, but in India it is 50 years. Now think vice versa. An Indian student has gone to USA to read, and suppose one book after the date of the author 50 years has crossed. So as a student of India, I think that as it is past the 50 years, so I can use that copyrighted material. But in USA, it is up to 70 years. So this kind of confusion may arise. So it has to be carefully dealt with. Now the fourth part is that there is the public domain, an important concept of copyright law. Now it is the open access mantra is everywhere we are following. Lot of things are available. Good authenticated scholarly materials are also available to open access in public domain. So you can easily access all those things. But still, you have to be very much careful that whenever you are taking all kinds of open access resources, don't forget to acknowledge. Okay. And the last thing is that the length of copyright protection is a balancing act. So this is the ultimate thing. Actually, basically from the library perspective, that we have to use the material. At the same time, we have to retain the copyright law that should avoid any kind of infringement. At the same time, we have to help our students. So balancing act is very important. I am coming how the library can help you to do the balancing act. Now, before going to the balancing act, the role of the library, another thing is that international copyright consideration. So number one, you can see that temporary and harmonization. What is, territoriality and harmonization. As I have just mentioned that Indian student going to the USA or Indian student, USA student coming to the India, because of some differences in copyright law country to country, so some kind of harmonization is required. It should be properly explained. So your country have this type of rules, and this kind of rule is applicable in our country. Harmonization can be done, and one option is there in international perspective that if the USA student coming to India, he or she try to follow the Indian copyright law. At the same time, when an Indian student going to the USA, he or she try to follow the USA copyright law. Thank you. Now it is clear. Now the second aspect is that challenges in enforcement. Obviously, it's not a proper outer criminal case that I have murdered someone and criminal law cases will be against me. It's a very sensitive issue. You are copying from a book maybe it's intentionally or maybe unintentionally. The copyright infringement law is that you can be imprisoned for 3 years and fined for more than 2 lakhs. But as it is a very sensitive case, the proving of the copyright infringement law is very, has to deal with very sensitively. Okay. Then the third one is that international treaties and agreements. All kinds of international treaties and agreements also have to keep in mind that what is said in international law, what is the differences, what is the gray area, and fourth is the fair use and cultural context. I have already mentioned about what is fair use, and the five is the emerging challenges. Why emerging challenges? Because in the area of digital information, because of the ICT technology, we are really facing different challenges to keep track of the copyright laws. Now, the important part, that is the second part. We have already mentioned that different aspects of copyright laws and how we can create a balance. So in this area, library will help you to keep the balancing act by helping you to get as far as possible the required information, at the same time follow the copyright laws. So first is the fair use versus copyright infringement. So fair use is a very important term under the copyright law. As it has mentioned that if you use for your own research purpose, not connected with any commercial purposes, so certain kind of accessing the copyrighted content is allowed. But still, there is a possibility that you can fall into the arena of infringement because you don't know or you are not fully aware that how much information I can use in the name of fair use, and whenever the maximum limit will be crossed, it will go under the arena of infringement. So here you can see how library can help you to avoid this grey or not clear area. Develop clear fair use guidelines. So library will try to give you fair use guidelines, and as much as you can use. If you cross that limit, you can fall under the copyright infringement. Second thing is that consult legal experts for complex cases. If it is too complex, complicated, so that time it is not possible for the librarian also to maintain all these technical parts are related to legal aspects. So obviously it can be handed over to the legal aspect to help in that case. Third is that the leverage licensing and subscription services. Library has to provide you all kinds of services. It is the responsibility of the library to help you. So for that, they need to subscribe any copyrighted material. Whenever they will subscribe, you are the student of that particular library, so you have that liability, or you are fully, what should I say, the permission to use all those copyrighted materials. So for that, library sometimes need to subscribe the content. Copyrighted content. One example I can give you, just yesterday I have signed for the e-books. The budget is that more than 26 crore rupees. Again I am repeating, 26 crore rupees bill I have signed just yesterday, so that it can be completed before the completion of this financial year. Because it is February, within 15 March we have to process all those things, so that after 15 months we can submit all those things, whatever we have purchased, whatever we have utilized the resources. So that's why tomorrow, sorry, yesterday, 26 crore rupees e-books have been already signed and submitted to the accounts. So this is the fact. Then promote open access and public domain resources. Again I am telling, Delhi University is spending only for the e-books more than 26 crore rupees. But such a library, academic library is there. It is not possible to spend more than 5 lakhs. So what will happen? Those people, those students are reading there, they will be deprived for that. Option is also there. Open access, there are a lot of resources available nowadays in the open access format. So we have to, as a library professional, we have to promote that how to use the open access, what are the sources, how can you access all those resources, because open access is basically out of copyrighted law. Aspects are there under open access. Later on I will try to discuss. And monitor and adapt to legal and technological changes. At the same time, with the help of the technology, how we can use the different resources, it may be copyrighted resources, it may be open access resources, but within the periphery of the copyright law, proper way we can utilize that technological aspects, we have to be careful. Now the digital content and licensing. You know that today is a digital arena, or age, or era. Along with the printed documents, we are using lot of digital contents in e-books, e-resources, or any archival digital materials in online form with the help of digital tools. So, because of the your lack of awareness, sometimes you may download any copyrighted materials somehow by hacking or any kind of programming, etc., etc. So you will face the problem. So how library can help you? Negotiate flexible licensing agreements. Suppose one package of a journal is the present price is that more than 50 lakhs. But as an academic librarian, you don't have that facility to pay 50 lakhs for a certain online packages. So you can start negotiate with the publisher. So this is a public university. If you provide, we are not going to business or for any commercial purpose. So you have to motivate and negotiate and negotiate. As far as discount is possible, you have to take from them so that somehow it can be possible to subscribe all those copyrighted material and you can give it to your students or the users. Again, I am giving from my own university's example. Among these e-books, I have just mentioned that 26 crore rupees just assigned yesterday. Actual price is that 78 crores. The total package we are signed for 26 crore is actual price 78 crores. So you can say, sir, one time you are saying that 26 crores rupees you are going to pay, but the actual price is 70 crores. Several meetings we have conducted with the different publishers, and we have discussed so many negotiation point of view that it is a public university. If you provide your material to Delhi University, it will actually help you to promote your resources. Because Delhi University is a premier university in India and obviously in the global also. If it is taken by the Delhi University, so it will give you the promotion that such and such university is using your resources, so you can go to the other university and you can give your example that this is used by the Delhi University, so this is very useful and relevant, so you can also use it. So in this way we are trying to motivate them and negotiate them. So 32% materials we have taken more than 87% discount. Can you believe that? Matlab, iska price, if it is 100 rupees, we are going to pay only 13 rupees because we are taking 87% discount, madam. How it is going possible? We are doing their brainwash that if it is used by the Delhi University, so it will give you a promotion. So in this way, we are doing the hard bargaining or hard negotiation. So these kind of things, a library can take the leading role so that copyrighted digital platform materials you can use for your own library. And explore innovative access model. Another thing is there, if it is not at all possible to subscribe any copyrighted material, you can think for the alternative way. One alternative method is the pay per read. Suppose among 1 lakh articles, suppose your particular researcher, serious researcher just need one article from that whole package. So option is there, you can only purchase that article, that is called a pay per read. So this option we can also think about it. So digital content and licensing can be somehow sorted out in this way. Third is the copyright and open access. I have already mentioned that open access basically free of copyright. Dear participants or dear audience, there are so many open access models. I am mentioning 3 or 4 models because this area is also coming under my core area of interest. I have written more than 17 or 18 articles related to open access. So first, open access I am going to mention that is the gold open access. What is happening here? You have published, as an author, you have published such and such article in a journal, but you have to pay. That is called the article processing charge, APC. So whenever you will submit your article processing charge, and it's not that only you are submitting the article processing charge, anything you are writing, the sun rises in the west and sun sets in the east, and it will be published. No, not like that. Content should be good, authentic, scholarly content. But again you have to pay the APC. Then as soon as you will pay the APC, it will be published in the open access format. That means if it is published on 23rd February, from the afternoon session of the 3rd February, it will be available to all. Along with the author, anybody can access, download and full text article. No barriers is there. So this is called a gold open access. And Creative Commons license is also very much associated with that anybody can share, can use in his own way. And second option is that green open access. What happens in green open access? Green open access, you may not have to pay the APC charges. Author keep that article under their name for 1 year. That is called the embargo period. After embargo period will be ended, author has the tenacity or flexibility to submit in any institution, repository of his or her own institution or any other institution, so that anybody can access, download and use it for our purpose. But restriction is for just for maybe 1 year. That is called the embargo period. Another open access model is that there is called the diamond or platinum open access. One is gold, green is very much helpful for submitting the article in any institutional repository, and third one is diamond and platinum open access. What happens there? Diamond and open access, anybody whenever author are publishing any article, it is next day it is available for all. But here, from where, suppose I am working in a Delhi University. So if I publish any article in any international Scopus Index journal, so I have to pay. But I don't have to pay. My institution will pay for that, for processing charges. Okay, so it is funded by the institution or the government. And another model is that is called the hybrid model, open access. What is happening? If I want as an author after publishing a such and such open access journal, that my article will be available to all. It's not that who has purchased that journal article only to them it will be available. No, everything. So I can pay, I can provide the APC charges. But if I don't, I think that okay, my article has been published, so under my name, my publication statistics will be enhanced, but I am not bothered about who can read or who cannot read. So that time I don't have to pay. So both the concept is there under the hybrid model. So among these 4 models, I think green open access is very important because it provides the author, even just after the 1 year, the facility to submit in an institutional repository. And again, in green open access, author don't have to pay the APC charges. So without paying any single paisa or penny or money, author is giving you the option that it is available to all. So these kind of options are there under the open access. Open access will be very much helpful in coming days. Now the copyright for the digital preservation. I have already mentioned that library also take into consideration how to preserve that content for the coming generation. So these are the options that they advocate for: utilize and fair use permission, implement orphan work strategies, collaborate with other libraries, develop, utilize digital preservation tools and standards. Then how to standardize the digitization. Suppose one library is doing his or her own way. I am the library of a such and such particular library, I am doing my own way. So some kind of standard should be there. So based on that kind of standard, everything should be done. Suppose you have seen your mobile charger. Somebody is using Samsung mobile, somebody is Apple, somebody from another Galaxy mobile. But the charging point, it is same. Whatever it may be, but your charging plug or the devices the same. It can also be set up in pen drive. So standardization is very much important. Now the user access and technology. Again I have mentioned that technology is very helpful, but whenever using the technology you are accessing different materials, you have to keep in your mind that somehow with the help of the technology you have downloaded or copying some materials which is copyrighted protected. So at that time you may face some problem, but library can help also in this regard how implement robust access management system. Suppose we have an e-library system from anywhere of the world, anytime, anywhere, any location you can access all those e-resources. But you have to take the membership or you have the login ID and password of the university. Should I finish? Is it the same? So open access and user access and technology can be done in this way. The rise of AI and machine learning, whenever you are using the AI for experiment purpose, you can take any copyright and quickly this definition in 5 minutes. Actually, the time is required for 20 minutes, so I can understand. So the rise of AI and machine learning system, whenever with the help of AI technology, that is artificial intelligence, you are experimenting with any copyrighted material. So you cannot also do that in the name of artificial intelligence with the help of copyrighted material. Suppose you are doing a project that how academic materials can be beneficial with the help of AI technology. But for the experiment, you need some copyrighted material. But again, you can face problems. So that whatever the resources available in open access format, with the help of the open access format material, commonly available or easily available in the public domain, you can use that material for experimenting with AI. Now the international copyright consideration, again I have to mention that several international copyright laws are there. So you have to keep into mind that whatever happening in other parts, so some kind of parity or similarity or communication should be there. Another interesting component is the digital rights management. Suppose the material I am publishing, whenever somebody is the authentic user, I can give you some login ID and password, but those who don't have the login ID and password, they cannot access. Actually, it is managed by the Digital Right Management Protection System. So copyright challenges in academic libraries are ongoing and continuously evolving in the digital age, and library has to manage all these things, keeping into mind that they have to be the gatekeeper of managing the copyright law. At the same time, they have to provide the different resources to their students, so they have to maintain that balancing act. Just before that, I have mentioned so many areas. So in this way, library can help the students or users, academicians, researchers, that they can utilize maximum resources, keeping in mind the copyright infringement or other things. So different aspects are there. I have mentioned open access, and how to use the technology, and how to deal with the fair use. Okay. Thank you for your keeping the hard questions, clapping to signal me to finish. Okay, thank you.
I would like to welcome Ms. Muskan ma'am for giving vote of thanks, for the thank you letter to the chief speakers.
Sir, please come.